Hey guys, I'm Carla and I am an intuitive-based counselor, channeler, and Reiki master. And I'm here to talk to you guys about the journey of the soul. I get this a lot from people. They ask me about how the journey of the soul works. So I thought I would do a longer video today explaining in depth kind of how it works and how each lifetime is a continuation. Basically, the reason we're all here, we all come here with a big purpose. And one of our biggest purposes before we do anything for other people or have other people see us or perceive us is really we're here for ourselves. We are here to learn very specific lessons. Usually that is something that it's like the stuff we don't want to look at, the stuff that you put off, you don't want to have to deal with it, you don't want to have to look at it, the harder stuff, the things that you struggle with the most. So like if you're somebody who has social anxiety, that would be one of your soul lessons. If you have a hard time with confrontation or communication, that would be a soul lesson. So there's all this stuff that we don't want to deal with. And basically we're here to work on them. And we assign ourselves a certain number. I think it's usually about 3 to 5 or so. But throughout our life, we encounter things to get us there. Each lifetime is a chapter. So basically where your life starts, it starts exactly where it left off last time. So in your last lifetime, if you ended up really happy, really successful, making a lot of money, whatever, positive stuff, that's where you're going to start your life now. So each one is a continuation and you place yourself in a setting that sets you right to where you left off in your last lifetime because it's a chapter. Each lifetime is a chapter. It's like a big book and each one is just another chapter we're continuing on. And it's kind of an endless journey because Earth is a school and we are here as souls to learn. So this is a place for us to learn. This is a place for us to grow. And it's so that we can move on to bigger, better things after. And we can navigate harder aspects of ourselves and our soul. Then when we move on, we're able to take on bigger projects, do bigger work, serve bigger communities, etc. We assign ourselves these tasks and we pick our lives. Before you're born, you choose what you want to come into. You choose your hardships. Essentially, Earth is a school and you choose your curriculum. So, if you want to work on being better with social anxiety, you're going to pick a hardship. You may pick a place where you have a hard time socially and it's setting you up what feels like for failure, but really it's to get you to push yourself past that. Because none of us learn the easy way and none of us learn by just receiving these things. We learn by having things taken, making harder, being pushed up against, etc. It's kind of like we don't move as souls and as humans until we're basically forced to. We don't have a choice. That's why we're here to do this. And so you choose your life, you choose the lessons, which is the curriculum. And of course, you're here to have fun too. So you're supposed to combine it. You're supposed to be having fun, having a good time, enjoying yourself in combination with hardships, problems, lessons, etc. And you're supposed to have like a fair combination of both. Really happy moments, really cool stuff going on, things working out well for you, and also times where things completely fall apart because that's the universe's way of saying, do your work. If you're somebody that does not do their work, you're like, I don't want to look at myself. I don't want to look at my stuff. I am just here to have a good time. I don't want to have to worry about this. You're going to be put back and have to do it again. If your life ends early, if you end your life early, if you don't do what you came here and completed to do, you want to end your own soul contract early for whatever reason, you're going to get placed back into the same life to do it all over again. Things are going to get repeated until you finally do it. So you see people and you're like, how do you never have to deal with stuff? Don't forget, people are also here to create karma. Younger souls are here just to create karma. For them, they have lessons too, but theirs are easier because they're still acclimating and they're creating this karma. So that means that they're going to go around and they're going to get away with things or saying that maybe as an older soul, you don't get to get away with, but they do. That's because they're creating their hardships for a future lifetime. Because karmically, whatever you do, whatever you put on other people, whatever you put on yourself, whatever whatever chaos you bring in, whatever judgments you bring, whatever judgments you hold against others, you're going to have to face that. Whoever you hate, if there's a group of people you hate, a type of person or a specific person, you're going to come back as that person, because we're here to learn how to not hate and not judge. Anything that you have a big problem with, you're going to come back as that problem, because you have to learn what it's like from the other side. Same thing with completing soul lessons too. If you have started realizing things about your soul lesson, like, okay, I get this, I get what I did wrong, I see what I did here, you're gonna get put back in a position where you're now also on the receiving end of what you're learning how to move out of. So first you learn like, oh, that's bad, because none of us are inherently evil. A lot of us just get kind of lost in the sauce and don't know what we're doing. So first you have to learn, oh, that was bad. Whoops. Right? We make those mistakes. We learn that was a bad thing to say. That was a bad thing to do. I really messed up here. So the first you learn that, and then that settles, and you have to sit with that remorse, the guilt, the shame, whatever comes with it. Then the next part of that, and usually in a future lifetime, is you're going to come back as that on the other side of that, where now you're on the receiving end, and you're on the receiving end of that because now you have to learn on a deeper level, oh, this is why that hurts. Oh, this is why that's bad to do. This is how this causes these problems. I get it now. I get it. It hurts. And it's not to punish you. It's to get you to really learn, because you need those lessons to integrate. Because when you really observe it that way and you really feel it and you feel that kind of pain and you're like, I get what I did. Like when you feel it on that level, your soul transcends and moves ahead, and there's a lot of ascending. That's where ascension is. That's where growth is. Now you can never go backwards. Now you'll never fall back, because your soul knows. It's soul knowledge now. So that means in your next lifetime, the opportunity could come up to do that again. And you're going to say, no way. You won't know why, but your soul knows why, because your soul knows what it was like to be on the receiving end. So it's interesting. It's always with people. I know I'm going to do another video on soul contracts, but like if you have one lifetime where you made that mistake on one specific person and you like put a lot on them, in another lifetime, you're going to come back as the recipient from that person. And that's a part of a soul contract I'll talk about next time, Karmic Partners. But you come back as other versions. So you come back as that version of you that struggled with something. You come back as that person you didn't like, that you judged. Now you're that person. So we're really here to learn to not hate, to not judge, to just really see that we're all dealing with stuff, and to really have deep levels of empathy and compassion for everybody. And it's really to just get into a space of unconditional love. Ideally, it's to get you to a place where you learn what unconditional love is, and usually you understand that by going through hardships and making mistakes and then learning the lessons. Because now that's what it takes to really develop that empathy and compassion, is going, oh, I know what it's like to feel like that. And then you can feel that pain for somebody, or have that empathy for somebody's pain or suffering. And then you know not to go down that road again. So that's another big one too. It's just like, you will be placed in the same stuff and repeat these things over and over until you get it. Eventually, you do learn all the lessons of Earth. Eventually, your soul learns everything there is to know. It's generally to come out of ego, judgment, hatred, thinking you're above other people, thinking you're below other people, all of that, and just seeing the unconditional love, and really to be your authentic self. Like, you're here to learn and really remember who you really are and what it means to be authentic, and to embrace that and to love yourself for it. That's the other big one too. And that's like the soul journey. So it's like you go through all these things and you learn how to love throughout all of it, and you learn how to have this empathy and compassion for people going through it. And then once you go through all of that and you come back as every version of every person, you can move ahead and you can move on to other things. I'm not sure exactly what's on the other side of all this, but you get to move on. And it's not only a thing where you learn what you did while you're here. Once you pass and you cross over, you do sit down with God and go over its final life review. You look at your whole life and you review it together. And that's where like any lessons, because not all of us get all of our lessons, and some people really put off our lessons their whole lifetime. That's where you're really going to look and feel everything. So it's like you can't really escape it. If you escape it now, you're going to have to look at it at some point, and you're going to have to absorb those lessons too. So there's no escaping that. You do learn, and it's honestly, it's never to punish you. It's to continuously heal and continuously grow. And that's why each lifetime is a chapter, going back to the again, because each one is just right where you left off. Because the more lessons you learn, the higher of an energy space you're gonna be in when you start off. Because the more you learn, the more your soul ascends into a higher energy space. And then you're less likely to end up back in a low energy space again. And if you do, you come out of it a lot faster. So the older you are, the higher your energy naturally is, the easier to come out of hardships it is, the easier to know innately what to do is. It's just kind of like, you know how to deal with things, you know what to do, you know how to transmute your own energy, you know how to take your energy and realize, all right, I'm in low energy right now, and you know how to push yourself out of it and go back into higher energy and into a higher headspace in general, because you know how to come out of ego easier. And that's like the big thing with Earth. It's like they want you to get out of ego here. They want you to see from that other perspective and that other space, and to rise above things and to transcend in that way. The more you're able to do that, the more growth you attain. So then it becomes a thing when you're a new soul, you tend to pick easier lives, less is going on, you have less struggle, because small struggles for an older soul, something that would be pretty easy, would be really hard on a younger soul. Because for a younger soul, this is brand new, and they don't have the history, the background, the information, or the knowledge to move through it. So it's like learning how to ride a bike for the first time. If you're going through something and you're like, this really messed me up, and then somebody's like, that's it, like I could deal with that, it's because they've probably done it before, maybe a number of times in past lives, where now it would be easy for them to be like, okay, I already kind of know what to do with this. And it just becomes easier, faster, almost like an inner knowledge of just like, oh yeah, you just do this thing and that's all you have to do. You don't have to stay in this. Younger souls move through things slower or struggle through it, and they hold on to darker energy because they don't know how to transmute their energy. Younger souls have this impression of like, you're either going in an upward trajectory and things are great, or they're going in a low trajectory and things fall apart, and they hold on to all this dark energy as a result. They don't realize you're here continuously going in and out of maybe bad choices, mistakes, darker places, and being like, oh yeah, I don't want that. And not just getting that you can transmute it, or you can switch out of it and move forward. As you go through lifetimes, you start learning how to do that. You start learning how to clear your energy. You start learning like, okay, this place puts me in a lower energy. I'm going to just move away from that and start over. Younger souls don't know how to do that yet. They just think when you're in that, that's what you're in. Older souls know, okay, I can just move out of this, and I can move away, and I can clear, and I can get help, and I can do this. They have more ideas of what to do. So that's why if you ever see somebody, you're like, how did you overcome all that? How did you make it seem so easy? It's because they probably had many lifetimes where they've done that. Same with people where you're just like, you look at, some celebrities or different people where you're like, wow, you've just always had life easy. And I mean, obviously you don't always know what everyone's going through, but it's like some people just start off in a higher place. Here's an example. There are people who are mediums. They just start out in their life as a medium. They are able to make a career out of it. And there are people that want to do that, but they have no idea how. And they're like, how are you able to just have that and just do that? And I don't even understand how that works. Well, you don't know in their last lifetime what they were doing to get to that point. They may have gone through what you're going through now to learn and work through and build those skills and go through a lot of turmoil. So in their next lifetime, the next chapter, they can start where they left off, which is in this place of like, all right, now I'm a medium and I'm ready to work. That's the thing. A lot of your guides some of them are from past lives, and they're just, they help you learn certain things. Like if you learn in one lifetime, you want to be a certain kind of person, like I saw for somebody, they were in a tribe or they saw healers and they're like, I want to learn how to do that. So now in this lifetime and some of their last ones, they've went through some really, really difficult hardships because their guides are those healers that they looked up to in that one lifetime. And they're like, we're training you. And training you is having some lifetimes where you have to walk through fire. Because when you come out of that, you're going to be able to go through and do this healing work for people. You want to become like us, you got to walk the course and the line that we had to, which was lifetimes of turmoil around this in order to do it. So if you see some people and you're like, why is your life, it's just turmoil after turmoil. There are people that are here to have to walk through extreme hardships because they have to learn how to acquire certain skills and gifts. And that is what it takes to build them. It's walking. Hardships are what kind of like sharpens like a sword. You're forged in the fire. Like essentially human souls are forged in fire. Younger souls don't always get that. They have a harder time and they crumble or they fall apart a lot easier. Older souls have an idea and they're like, all right, you're in hell, keep walking. And they're forged, and then they're able to take these gifts or things that the knowledge that they gained from a difficult situation and apply that soul knowledge in many areas of their life. And we're all here with innate gifts. No, it's not like one person is special where one person has spiritual gifts and somebody else doesn't. Every single person on the planet has gifts to one extent or another, but it's like what you do to get there. So like when you go through hardships in life or traumatic situations or whatever, that becomes a block. Those things block you. When people are dealing with different addictions and things, they're actually like not coping well with their own skills. A lot of people who struggle with that are actually very intuitive and have a lot of gifts and they don't know it. And they don't understand what they're even feeling, which is something else. That's another thing too. Some people don't realize that they have these gifts and these skills yet. They don't realize that they've been reincarnated and they have these abilities. So they're trying to numb things they don't understand. And sometimes what you're numbing is just feeling the anxiety of somebody who crossed over that's trying to get your attention to give you a message. Things like that. Not everyone that when you pass, you don't always cross over. Some people are stuck. Some people are trying to get somebody's attention first or trying to work through things or help somebody. There's different reasons that souls stay before they finally cross over. And if they need help, which many are, because some people don't even realize they've crossed over, they will try to find ways to get your attention. And that can mean putting anxiety on you, like feeling their anxiety and their turmoil. And if you don't know you have those gifts, you may just feel like you have an anxiety disorder and you have to like numb it. Like you may not even know what you're dealing with. A lot of people are numbing those things specifically. So that's another thing as well. It's hard to know what's what, but trauma, hard situations, hardships block your gifts. And as you heal and start going through a healing process and start learning the lessons and emotionally clearing out what you're dealing with, you're then able to, it's like your gifts naturally just open up because it's like removing just blocks out of your energy field, dark blocks. And that's a thing as well. So, and that's part of why that soul work is so important, because the karma you're creating and the karma you're holding is just blocking your ability to see your own gifts. And everyone's gifts are a little different. Everyone has different specialties. Everyone has different things that they're empathically inclined towards. We're all here for all these different things. If you want to become something, it's like if you want to become a professional basketball player, you can't just look at a professional and be like, how come you get to do that and I don't? You know what I mean? Like you can't look at somebody who already made it and be like, that's not, how come I'm not there and you're there? You don't know all the training they went to, the schools they went to. It's more like, hey, if you want to get to this end point, you got to do the work yourself and get there. And also, part of the healing journey, first of all, is learning how to clear your own energy and transmute your own energy, because a lot of trauma and hardships and things that you encounter create energy, which is emotion is energy in motion. That's what energy is. Emotion is energy in motion. So if you're holding on to a lot of negative thoughts, beliefs, feelings, whatever, and you haven't resolved traumatic situations or anything, you're kind of like feeling the weight of that. Some people can actually just gain weight from not healing their own turmoil. I kind of believe it also can create some illnesses as well, which I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not even going to touch that, but it can create some things with that as well. That's my belief. And when you start learning how to clear your own energy and transmuting and not like pushing it away, only looking at light, trying to just push darkness away, but actually confronting it and being like, all right, I have a lot of sadness over this specific thing. I have to sit down and figure out, why does this affecting me so much? Why is this hurting? Like, why do I have this grief? And it's really just grief. Grief is really like a lot of emotion or energy in motion. And as you start addressing that darker side, those dark aspects, that grief, that pain, and you start letting it go. And it's like negative emotions, resentment, anger, hatred, all those things none of us want to feel, we try to push away, whatever. When you start realizing, all right, I'm actually going to sit down and address this, and I'm going to start letting this stuff go and figuring out how, and really letting myself feel the weight of it lifted. Now you're really clearing yourself, and that's where your gifts open, because your gifts are hidden under grief. Your gifts are hidden under deep, dark, heavy emotions that come from trauma. So it's not the traumatic situations themselves, it's that grief and the emotion that you hold on to and the stories and the beliefs based off of that. And that's what has to be released once you really are able to address that specifically head on and start really letting it go. And I don't mean, again, pushing it away, pretending it doesn't exist, but like addressing it and acknowledging, I have this issue. I dealt with this thing. It's making me feel this way, and I'm not okay with that. And then start processing it and grieving it, and just, like I tell people, just cry, like scream, like you have to speak it out. You have to cry it out. Some people sweat it out, whatever it is. Some people just have to do physical movement and sweat to release it. It's different for everybody. There's so many modalities of healing out there. But as you do that, that's where you're transmuting your energy. That's what transmuting your energy is. And that's when your gifts can shine through, because then blockages get removed along the way. And also when your gifts open up and you start seeing things in others and understanding their turmoil, their struggles, that is a mirror to you, usually about your own, because spirit likes to have people we meet that are mirroring back to us exactly where we're stuck, in so many words, so we can go, oh, okay, I see this within myself too. So it's important to address these things head on, no matter how hard it is, no matter how traumatic it may feel to have to look at it again, because it's the only way out. Because the other thing too, so our ego is set up in a way where it wants us to feel safe. And our ego wants us to feel safe by blocking us or shielding us from doing the things that we need to do in order to move ahead. Because your mind will go, well, that's not safe. It's not safe for me to move on. I don't know what's out there. It's scary. There's bears out there, whatever. It's easier to stay right where you're at. So your brain will almost try to self-sabotage you. I've seen people talk about things or accuse people of things that aren't even true because their brain is trying to keep them safe. That's pretty common, actually. Whatever story you're holding on to where you're like, that's danger in others, that's danger in people around me. If somebody's showing you something different, your brain will kind of find a way to negate that, because it's rejecting the idea that you could be wrong, because your brain is thinking that, well, that would be dangerous. So part of the soul journey as well is overcoming fear, because that's how the ego keeps you safe. That's how it makes you stuck. It goes, that's scary, don't look at it. That's a big deal, don't look at it. And it's just like you feel panic, you feel fear, you feel whatever, just waves of pain. I mean, whatever it is, your brain will come up with all kinds of stuff to stop you from going, wait a minute, I have to look at this because I have to be able to move through it and move on. Your mind will go, no, that's dangerous and I want to keep you safe. Stay where you are. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if you feel trapped by this, because we don't know what's on the other side. So part of transmuting and part of walking through everything is just walking through fear. So as you're transmuting and you're looking at heavy stuff, you're looking at darker aspects of your life and yourself, and you're really focused on and hell-bent on just really releasing it and being like, how do I let this resentment go? How do I let this anger go? Whatever. Fear is going to come up, and it's going to come up so strong and heavy that a lot of people are going to just turn away. But what we're meant to do as humans is to look at this fear and go, this fear will not stop me. Fear is what? False evidence appearing real, right? It's never really real. It's a way to your brain to try to keep you in a place that feels safe. So you have to look at fear and go, all right, I'm going to just walk through it. Walk through the fear. Walk through this pain, the fear. I may feel like something is hitting up against me. May feel like somebody's re-triggering me. It may or may not even be true because it could be part of my ego trying to protect me. Sometimes the mind will create scenarios that may not even be real within others or things around you in the moment when you're trying to push out of something as a way to stop you, which is really interesting. And I've seen it, and it's really fascinating to watch that how much the mind does that to all of us. But when you start doing that and you just keep walking anyways, and you just walk through that amount of fear, on the other side of fear is that freedom. On the other side of fear, on the other side of the grief, is really the life you want, which is peaceful. It just brings in peace. It brings in serenity. It brings in calm. It opens up your gifts. I know I've lost weight. I know other people have lost weight. Like sometimes you can just gain weight from holding on to too much negative stuff. And when you let that go, you can just lose weight. So that's a thing too. There's so much to it, but these things all work. And then like, as you work through the fear and the pain and the grief and you walk through it and you're on the other side, guess what all those lessons, because looking at these things and addressing how to let things go means looking at your soul lessons. It means looking at, why do I feel this way in the first place? And it's going to be because you have a soul lesson that you have yet to learn. And usually it's not one, usually it's many. The more fear, the bigger the fear, the bigger the grief, the bigger the pain, the bigger the deep emotion around it, the more lessons there are for you to look at. The more that you have to really unpack things. But when you gain those understandings and you learn it and it becomes soul knowledge, your karma is clear. Like, not only does this break you out of karmic patterns, now it clears your karma. So if you're like, why do I keep encountering something? Like, I know a lot of people come in and see me because they keep dating the same person over and over again. Like, why do I keep attracting this kind of person? But when they do this work and they work on that relationship that broke them and they heal that karmic cycle, which is really just looking at their own part in it, even if they were the victim, and looking at their own part of it and releasing that, then they're able to break out of that karmic cycle. And then they no longer, it's not like they never see those kinds of people again, but your view will change. So dating is just a great one because it's the most common one I get. But if you're dating the same kind of person over and over again, and you're like, why do I keep attracting this? You do this work. You look at your role in it. Even if you were the victim in the relationship and you were hurt constantly, whatever happened to you, you're cheated on, you were mistreated, whatever. I get these things all the time. So it's like you look at all of that and you see, well, what was my role? Should I have walked away earlier? Did I miss red flags? Did I play into something? And you have to like look at stuff like you don't want to admit, because nobody wants to admit that they weren't wrong in these situations. No one wants to admit they weren't the victim. But when you do and you look at that and the soul lessons really integrate, it clears your karma. You no longer meet those same people. And it's not like you don't see them again. You can recognize it immediately, and instead of running towards it, you go, that's that red flag again. I don't even want to deal with that. You walk away. It's like you spot it instantly and you see it from a different perspective, and now your perspective has shifted, and now it's like doesn't even feel like you're attracted to that kind of person anymore. It now feels like you're attracted to something better. That's how you really change that. And that's just an example because it's a common one, but I get that. I mean, that's really for everything. And victimhood too is part of the fear, part of the ego keeping you trapped in fear to keep you from moving forward. Because when you feel like a victim, you're entitled to a lot of negative behavior. You can be reactive. You can act out. You can be upset because you're just a victim fighting back. But when you're doing that in areas of your life where you don't have enough information, or you just see it as a pattern, like, okay, if somebody is like this, then I get to react. I feel like a victim in the situation. You are inherently projecting trauma on people who had nothing to do with the thing that you felt victimized in the first place. All right. People who hurt others are people who are acting like victims. Because if you think about it, you're a victim. You're acting out. You're upset. You're lashing out. You're freaking out about stuff. But who are you hurting? When you're doing that, who are you protecting yourself from? Because if it's not one person, you're doing it towards others, guess what that's triggering in other people? Guess what you look like to other people? You don't look like a victim to them. You look like somebody who's out to get them. Now the roles are reversed. So that's why it's so important that victimhood is to be looked at as just as hurtful as a person inflicting harm on another person, because they're the same thing. Anyone who inflicts harm usually is not evil and trying to go after somebody. Usually, a lot of times they are just people who feel like they are triggered and go into a victimhood mindset and are acting out of that. And they don't even realize what they're really doing. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And victimhood is a part of the fear, which is a part of the ego, which is a part of your brain saying, stay here, because when you do this, you know you can keep yourself safe. But if you take yourself out of that and look at it from a logical perspective and pull yourself out, you can look at it from a far distance and go, wait a minute. No, it's keeping me stuck in a karmic cycle where I feel triggered, I'm reacting, and then I'm just doing the same thing over and over. I'm attracting the same kind of people. I'm going through the same motions, the same conversations, the same stuff is taking place over and over again. Rinse and repeat. This isn't changing. So when you can start looking at it that way, you can go, all right, what is my role? How do I let go of feeling like a victim? How do I let go of fear? How do I let go of grief? How do I let go of any entitlement, any whatever? I mean, anything related to the ego, whatever that is for you, as you release that and just own and be accountable for your own role, no matter what it is, the more you free yourself, the more you break out of the karmic cycles, and the more you get to just move on. The more you get to finally not have to come back and deal with the same thing over and over again. The more you get to just be able to move forward and have a fresh start. That's really what it takes. And it's a lot of hard work. It's not fun. Nobody wants to look at themselves and realize what they're doing, or that maybe they projected and hurt somebody. I mean, nobody likes to say that. No one wants to admit that to themselves. But when you do, weights get lifted energetically off of you, your gifts open, you can see clearly, and then you're able to go out and help people. And that's where you're going to get guided towards being more of a helper instead of just somebody learning lessons. Because once you learn it for yourself and break out of your own karmic cycles, you can then go back and look at other people and see who else is stuck just like you, because we're all mirror reflections of one another. So you may have somebody come to you with the same problem, and maybe if it's a different circumstance, maybe for you it was dating and for them it's work or something. And you're like, okay, your boss is like my ex or whatever. Everyone has different stories, but you know, you're able then to guide them through what you had to do that kind of healing. Then guess what? Now they're healing. Now your karma, not only did you break a karmic cycle, but now you're bringing in good karma. Now you're creating really great karma for yourself, because you're bringing the lessons of self-mastery to others. And that creates great karma for you. And think about it. It's a domino effect of light. All right. The more people you go out and help break out of the things you broke out of and clear and transmute their energy and their emotion and their whatever else, and then they go off and do it for somebody else too. Think of how positive that is around the world. Think of how much people get to change as a result of just you noticing somebody is stuck where you work through something and you're able to give them some pointers or guide them through a process in order to release it. So just think about all that and think about how powerful that gets and how meaningful that is for people. And that really is essentially the importance of the human experience. A lot of it is to do that specifically. Obviously, we're here to have fun. We're here to attain. We're here to be abundant. We're here to gain things. But a lot of it, you know, the things we don't want to have to look at is the stuff that's going to help us excel. When you heal that stuff, not only do you lose weight, but you can like make more money. You get to ascend. Like your life, you can get a bigger house, you can get a new car. Like things will just start naturally gravitating to you in a whole new way just because you move things out of you that you've had for lifetimes. And now your soul is ascending. And as you get higher, you attract higher vibrational things, which is better, more money, nicer car, better people, better everything as a result of that. And ultimately, along with all the other things we talked about, as you do that, you get the chance to create heaven on earth, which is just like your dream life. And it comes from doing the hard work. And when you do that, then you're really mastering earth. That's what it takes to truly master earth. Become authentic, heal, release, attain, and have a deeper understanding, guiding others, and then just attaining a lifestyle and the things that make you happy as a result. That's what it's all about. And then some people, when they master earth, because eventually we all do and we all will, you know, you can choose to not come back here, but some people might. Some people want to come back and help. They choose to come back as just like doing something to help other people anyways. So that's a lot of it. That's pretty much a lot of it, most of it. But that's a lot of what we're here for. That's a lot of the lessons that we're here to learn. And when you do that, your soul expands. You get to be the light, and then you get to move forward. So I hope that helps you guys today understand more about the soul journey and why we're all here and how this all works. If there's anything else you guys want me to talk about on here, let me know. I'm happy to help. But that is the journey of the soul and what we are all here to do. Have a great day.